Welcome back, everyone. This is part 3 for the explanation of the chapter A Matter of Time, which is written by Victor Canning. Let's continue with the explanation. Please watch part 1 and 2 so that you understand what we have already covered up. So, he used to visit Dover for those watches in the month of November and July, and Chris Selby was not at all worried because he was a good actor. While working in that theater agency, he knew how to put up a good front, hide his nervousness, how to pretend to be confident. All right. So the old man continues and he says, now this November in question, so that means now this November, this time when he visited Dover in November, Chris set off from London. That means he left London feeling angry. He was very angry. He wasn't nervous or worried about the watches. He wasn't nervous at all. He was just looking forward to seeing the man who supplied him with them in Paris, a Monsieur Audiat and his 4 brothers. Monsieur is a French term which means sir. So a Monsieur Audiat and his 4 brothers. If you notice in this picture, there's a man, this fat bellied man, and then there are 4 people standing behind him. So this is Audiat, and then we have his 4 brothers standing behind him. There had been certain aspects of the batch he had taken back in the previous July. That means certain parts of the whole batch, the whole consignment, the whole packaging which he had taken of those 5,000 watches, which had made the trip less profitable than it should have been. Now you know Chris Selby was really greedy. He will not be tolerating any loss in his profits. As he drove into the sheds at Dover, he showed none of this. That means he was not at all showing his anger. He did his act. That means he again smiled, handed out a bunch of complimentaries for a new show in town. That means he gave a couple of free tickets to all of them for his new show in the town, and in a couple of hours was driving out of Calais on the Paris road. So he just met them and he did not do anything. He just drove. After a couple of hours, he drove out of Calais on the Paris road. He came back. He did not do anything. He just wanted to meet those people who had supplied him with those watches, because of which his profit had decreased. I hope it must be clear to you. In Paris, he put up at the Hotel Balzac. In Paris, he resided. To put up, that means to stay. So he stayed at Hotel Balzac. That evening, he went to see Audiat, a modest little jeweler at the bottom of Avenue. He was a very sweet little means short in height. He was a jeweler at the bottom, that means at the end of the road, whose name is Wagram. Monsieur Audiat, one never took any notice of the brothers who hung about in the background and were almost half-witted, was careful. Now, please understand how to comprehend these lines whenever hyphen is used. Old man here mentions, Monsieur Audiat, one never took any notice of the brothers who hung about in the background and were almost half-witted. So Monsieur Audiat, then the description about other people starts. And then again we have hyphen, that means we are again talking about Monsieur. Okay, so he's the narrator here, the old man here mentions that Monsieur Audiat was the one who never took any notice of his brothers. They were always walking behind Audiat and they were almost half-witted. That means they were not so intelligent. They did not have any kind of wisdom. But Monsieur Audiat was careful. He was an intelligent man. Selby was his only customer for this kind of work. That means the illegal work, that is smuggling. And he was content, he was satisfied. Who was satisfied? Audiat was satisfied with a regular twice-a-year profit rather than more constant business with the risk of publicity. And he was really happy with this twice-a-year profit that he was getting from Chris Selby against the watches that he was supplying him. And he did not have to worry about getting publicized. That means police or the customs knowing about his smuggling business, because everybody believed on Chris Selby. Everybody liked him. The day before Selby left, he would leave his car overnight in the garage at the back of the shop, and the brothers would have the watches all packed away in the car by the morning. And the day before Selby used to leave, okay, this was their routine. Every time Selby used to visit, so the day before he had to leave, he would leave his car overnight in the garage. That means for the whole night he used to leave his car in Odiat's garage at the back of his shop, and the brothers would have all the watches packed up, and the brothers used to arrange for the packaging of the watches so that Chris Selby doesn't get caught up, and then the car used to leave in the morning. Chris Selby found Odiat and his brothers at the back of the shop, and without wasting any time on polite inquiries as to their health and with smile turned off, he let them have it. Here's a twist. This time in November, after he had taken the consignment in July and it reduced his profits, he wanted to meet that person who had supplied him with all those watches. So he meets Odiat and he simply greets him and does not say anything. Again, he was into his act. He was not showing his anger at all. And the next day, when he visits him at the back of the shop, when he had to leave taking the watches again, this time, without wasting any time, and after exchanging polite inquiries, that means he asked about how are you and hello, the greetings, with the smile turned off. He was not smiling at all. Then he attacked. Let them have it. That means when you are attacking on somebody physically or verbally, it's written here in common idioms and proverbs that this idiom is used informally to mean attacking someone. So he attacked on Odiat. 1,000 watches from the last batch had been duds. That means they were defective. They were not working properly. Most of the others hadn't come up to specification, and the others were not up to the specification. That means all the details, all the features which were specified about those watches, they did not match up. The whole lot had been so badly packed that many of them had been broken. That means whole lot, the whole consignment. He embroidered on this theme for about 15 minutes. That means he added a lot more details about what all things were more damaged for about 15 minutes. In the end, Odiat could have stuck a knife into his heart gladly if it hadn't been for the fact that no Frenchman willingly destroys the source of a nice little profit, and even the half-witted brothers got the idea that the Anglais was really angry and he hadn't had watches that worked and looked good. Now, since Chris Selby was very angry and even attacked on him, even Odiat was very angry, and he was so angry that he could have stuck a knife into his heart very happily. That means he could also have attacked on him. But he did not do that. Why? Because as a Frenchman, he will not destroy that source of profit that is coming to him without any risk. Twice a year, this profit is coming to him from Chris Selby. So he did not do anything. And even the half-witted brothers, even these four stupid brothers of Odiat were able to get the idea that the Anglais, that means this man who had come from London. So Englishman, Anglais is English and French. So this Anglais was very angry because he hadn't had watches that worked properly and looked good. So they could understand the reason behind his anger, and so they did not react at all. However, Odiat finally explained that the batch of watches had been bought by him from Switzerland. But finally, he explains, he gives reasons, and he says that since the batch of watches that had been bought was from Switzerland, he says that I was not the one to make those watches. They had been supplied to you from Switzerland, and I did not examine them. I did not check them before they were getting packed up in the car. He promised that there would be no trouble with the next batch, which was arriving the following day. And then he promises that I will not let you have any kind of problem with the next batch that you're going to receive the next day. Okay? I hope this is clear to you. Here a hyperbole have been used where he mentions that Odiat could have stuck a knife. So this is an exaggeration. ठीक है, बहुत बड़ा चढ़ाकर जब हम बोल देते हैं ना, so उसको हम कहते हैं exaggeration. So this is a hyperbole where author uses exaggeration to highlight the anger, the amount of anger which was felt by Odia when Chris Selby attacked on him. So the old man has used hyperbole here to mention how much angry he was with Chris Selby. Alright, I hope it is clear to you. Kindly watch all the videos that have been uploaded, part 1, 2 and this part as well, so that you're able to understand and retain whatever has happened in the story. Alright, we'll meet in the next video lesson.